Episode 8, Path to Purity. Water ran over a book held by a mummy of stone. The mummy was hunched, as if under a great weight. The fountain dominated the small room. Engraved in the book were the words, "Wisdom comes at the cost of youth." After checking if the water was drinkable, Fenrir has a taste. His mind cleared and felt sharper, but his limbs felt heavier. A few more wrinkles appeared on his skin. Seeing it possible to get some use out of the Fountain of Age, Fenrir and Malara both take water skins and fill them. Beyond is a dark hall. Illuminating it with a torch, they find a stone door with strange symbols on it. Along one end of the hall is a crack in the wall. A skeleton is crammed between the stones. Each believed that the crack was just wide enough for them, despite Elidus being a few times the width and girth of Katarina. Beyond the skeleton, through the crevice it is crammed into, illuminated with a pale, eerie light, sat 7 ancient heroes, covered in dust. Before them are 7 wrapped parcels, and 5 bags of coin. Katarina offered to crawl through. The crack was tight, and a few times she thought she got stuck. But panting and exhausted, she managed to pull herself into the cavernous room. The dead heroes towered over her. Their eye sockets seemed to bore into her. Elidus tossed her a rope, and she tied all the objects together. She then slipped back through the crack before he pulled. As the second object started to come through, it got stuck, and despite all their efforts, the objects remained trapped. Grumbling, they take one item safely from the room, and the door at the end of the hall ground open. The hall continued till it reached a wooden door that rested ajar. Firelight danced beyond it. The beat of a heavy weight on a door boomed down the hall, accompanied by the sounds of rattling chains. It was like a man in white robes and in steel adorned with wings, but its hands were like black cloth, and its eyes were pools of shadow. Its helm was made in the image of a man, and seemed to move slightly as the party slammed open the door. It had a key tied to its belt, and a companion in the shape of a woman who brandished a massive crossbow. Shamblers pulled themselves from the spiked walls. The undead swarm forward, and the party retreats into the choke of the doorway. Clawing hands meet flesh, and broken nails rake down Katrina's shoulder. Her face is bashed in, and she is left whimpering on the floor. The man in steel, the warden, moved forward with a confident stride to thrust his man-catcher at Fenrir, but the Kraken man sidestepped the attack. A bolt tears through a zombie and sinks into Malara's thigh. The undead are quickly butchered, and the players press forward through the man-catcher's reach. With superior numbers, the monster is quickly destroyed. Blinding golden light shone from tears in the cloth-like fabric of its flesh, and from the punctures in its armor. A bolt shattered on the wall over Fenrir's head as the party descended on the crucifier. Katarina is healed with the blood from her vial, and she tests the blood light that seeps from the remains of the wardens. It burns the tongue with heat and spice. It is sweet in flavor. A burning sensation spreads through her body before leaving her feeling stronger and more alive than before. The warden's light seemed as potent as a shambler brute's blood. The party stands before the shaking door. With caution, they unlock it, bracing it so it didn't blow open. The rattling stopped. Pleasantly surprised, they slowly open the door. Beyond is a room filled with rusting blades and rotting bows. A single creature sits in the middle of the room. He has his back towards the party, but he wears a blue mask that faces them. He is slow in response, so the players slink around the outside of the room to the stairs down in the back. Each player sees the blue mask follow them around the room till they slip deeper down the path. At the base of the stairs is a room where strange creatures limp under heavy loads. The monsters seemed to be dressed in clothes that were once fine. They bear coffins or shovels as they slowly move a large pile of corpses into a pit. Every few minutes, a few more bodies slide down from the blackness above and in to the blackness beneath. A few shamblers try to rise, but they are swiftly stuffed into coffins before being tossed into the void. As the creatures notice the party, they stumble forward slowly, only to be swept aside by the players' onslaught. A long, winding path brings them ever deeper. Around one of the bends, Elida spots a strange shadow. It lurks near the ceiling. Lifting Malara onto his shoulders, she easily finds a long hole. With more poking around, it is found that the floor sports a strange crack under the hole. They hop over the strange patch of floor and forge ahead. A winding hall leads to a room of canopy beds and large cushions. Hot teas and milk sat steaming on bedside stands. A subtle exhaustion built over the fights to get here reared its head. They had never felt finer beds and sheets. A relaxed atmosphere begins to settle in when Malara jolts away from one of the beds. A skeleton rested there. Disturbed, they rush into the blackness of the next room. Crucifier bolts split the shadows as they drive at Fenrir. 2 bolts sprout from his body as a third shattered on the wall. Fenrir darted forward only to find the floor vanish into a pit. A thin path leads further into the room on the far side from the door. Elidis hurled a torch. Rows of dead spray shadows in a chaotic burst as the torch illuminate the 3 crucifiers cranking their crossbows. Panicked, Katerina throws up a hand. It twitches in pain as 3 orbs of blood seep out of her glove before shattering. Steel shrieks and light bursts in blaze as the crucifiers are torn apart by blood. After the undead are purged, the party finds the next room has a dull light that brightens the thick vines that coat the room and tangle in and out of a skeleton. The vines sport large red fruit that seem to beg to be eaten. Examining them closer, it is found that the fruit should be edible. Not trusting the stuff, but curious nonetheless, some of the fruit is gathered. Through an empty room, behind a huge door, is a dark cavern. As Samwise and Charlotte stalk forward, cries are heard from the dark. "Don't come any closer! Run! No, please, save us!" Tied to a post, over stacks of polished coins, are 3 women. A tall, willowy woman in doctor's robes, a curvier woman in a flattering dress, and an Omish woman dressed in naught but furs, the latter being unconscious. Claws clattered on stone, rough skin dragged on the floor. In the dark, burning boils glow behind piercing, reflective eyes. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Hit that cursed little bell. And I hope to see you around my campfire again.